Hello, love. Welcome back, family. Sending you so much love and thanking you so very much for being here. For being here simply on Earth. For choosing to be here. For being here on this channel. For your beautiful likes, your messages, and your comments. I am going to get to the remaining comments from the previous video right after I finish recording this one. And on that note, I'm going to start simply by talking about the feeling of being overwhelmed before we start to get into this sort of transmission message. There's something really important about checking in energetically to see where we are at as a collective, as the ELSH collective, Empaths, Lightworkers, Starseeds, Healers, Awakened and Awakening Souls. Especially Empath Starseeds, there's a focus that's really wanting to come through the last little while with that, because the Empath Starseed combination is a very unique one. I've got the energy of Commander Ashtar here with me. Lazar also coming through as well once I opened up Sacred Space. A lot of galactic energies. We've also got the energies of Asha. I will refer to her as that. Coming off of the previous video, which I'm also going to link here so that you are able to access that and see that if you have not watched that yet, because part of this message feels like it's going to be connected to that. Feels like it's going to be an ongoing series, so to speak, of messages. Okay. But let's do a little energetic check-in for a moment and look into the energy of feeling overwhelmed. Commander Ashtar saying that being overwhelmed is absolutely natural, as we understand natural, meaning there is nothing to judge. There's nothing wrong in feeling overwhelmed or anything to be anxious about with regard to feeling overwhelmed. Okay. And specifically, he's making a reference here to the energy. So there's some of us in the collective and those who are watching this right now that really need to hear this before we get into the actual transmission that wants to come through here. And this goes back to something that we touched upon in the previous video, in the previous message posted here, that this aversion to discomfort is something that has been deliberately put into the programming and the conditioning of modern, call it modern society on our current Earth timeline here, where we have a lot of quick fixes and a lot of things we're living a life of quote unquote convenience. And I'm talking specifically here to, he's saying the audience here, the people who are tuning into these videos, who are living in a society, in a world, in a country for that matter, that has many conveniences. Okay? And I think he wants us for a moment to just do a little bit of a check-in here to put some things into perspective. You know, it's this whole idea of this phrase, and it can be a contentious phrase, okay? But of course, you know, this is it. Anyway, this concept of first world problems. Okay? And that is not in any way to demean the struggles that we go through, the traumas that we legit experience, and to diminish these quote-unquote first world problems. What he's showing me with that phrase is pay attention to the meaning of what is coming through there. First world problems. because there's already a judgment that comes up with that. But he's also trying to also show that he's putting an emphasis here on the concept of hierarchy. And hierarchy is a construction. It's a construct. Because in the realm of energy and spirit, he's saying there is no hierarchy in the way that we understand it in the 3D realm, as one being better than the other. Okay? So there's a reason why we're set up in a way, and this is not at all to further support the concept of being in any way a victim to wherever we are born or grow up or whatever. Okay? We're always coming from a point here of sovereignty and empowerment in that respect, right? Self-empowerment in that respect, because we are powerful beings. He really, he's emphasizing that. So, and he's coming back to this energy of how I refer to him as Commander Ashtar, commanding something. We're all commanders in our own right. And one thing that very early on, Commander Ashtar showed me was that he's in no way coming across simply from that title as being better than any of us. Every experience, he's saying, is unique to every being incarnated here on Earth and otherwise. So it is about the quality or the fabric of your experiences and what you are able to share energetically with others. And it's interesting, I'm getting the energies of Lemuria coming in with that. Like Lemurian consciousness is very much about this. I'm also getting the Lyrans coming through with that too, and the Venusians. They're all coming on board now. Thank you for being here. This is interesting. They're showing me, I'm hearing Egypt, okay. They're showing me a pyramid that I have sitting on one of my little tables over here. And this concept of a hierarchy in terms of a pyramid. But this is... It's been malinterpreted or misinformed is what he's bringing through with that, okay? And again, I'm using these words in the most exalted way, right? Okay, so I'm hearing pyramids are portals and pyramids are conductors of energy. That's all they are. They're not meant in any way to be looked at as hierarchical. That's fascinating. I'm hearing a conjunction of energies. Pyramids are also they're incredibly important in terms of being conductors of energy. And they can be also, it's sacred geometry. They're portals and they're protectors. Lazar is also coming in for that. So the Lyran energy is coming in for that as well to show us a bit. Okay, and they want to just address this again. Going back to this whole concept of being overwhelmed, okay? It's simply because... there is an inefficient conduction of energy when we are overwhelmed, and working with the energy of sacred geometry. And I'm also getting a lot of Arcturian energy coming in with that as well. And the Arcturians are an excellent energy to work with if this resonates for you and you are familiar with them. But they're also showing me many of our guides are going to be able to show us this anyway. For those of you who are watching this video and coming across this video, you can always leave a comment below. Please share in the comments. It's absolutely beautiful to see each and every one of us in the comments sharing for this stuff, because there's strength in that. And there's ways that we can learn from each other, and also ways that we can synchronistically confirm these things with others as well. So if you have some knowledge with regard to Arcturian sacred geometry that you're willing to share here, that would be amazing, in terms of understanding the significance of geometric shapes and how they work with you. Lazar has brought this through before, where he's spoken, and Commander Ashtar, where they've spoken about working with the sacred geometry that feels right for you. And I can't remember what video this had come through, but basically it's every single one of us is going to have more of a resonance with certain geometry than other pieces of geometry, so to speak. Pieces of the puzzle is what I'm hearing with that. That's interesting. So what they're showing me here is that we're constantly exploring, and through a certain degree of trial and error, so to speak, we begin to understand what works with our energy field. And he's saying, Lazar is showing me, Commander Ashtar too. If I say they, sometimes those two come together with this. They're talking about working with certain shapes, certain color rays, and certain sounds specifically, and how they resonate with us in our bodies. Okay. So starting with finding where your baseline of safety feels like. Your baseline of calm is another way to understand this. So when you are in a calm state, what does that feel like for you? What is that as your baseline? And when you are coming from that place, you can start to work with these energies to see how they feel to you. So please experiment with this, is what they're showing me. And they're giving this as an invitation to each and every one of us to experiment. Even if we already are very comfortable with certain kind of geometry, it might be fun. Like, they're actually making this fun as well. It may be fun to experiment with other forms of geometry in sacred space. But they're also showing me, for some of us, this works really well when we're out doing different things, out in nature, taking a walk, whether they're showing me on a city street. That's interesting. They're showing me, Commander Ashtar is also showing me something very specific with regard to timelines with that. He says we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little later. He's showing me crossing the street. That's what he's showing me. He's showing me looking both ways before crossing the street, and I'm being directed to the yellow lines on a road. The yellow lines on a road. Now, yellow lines, how does that apply to you wherever you are? What does a yellow line mean for you in terms of the road? Now, in Canada, a yellow line in the middle of the road means you can't pass. He goes, technically you can, but it's the principle of the matter. What does that mean? He's talking about this in terms of energetic boundaries. That's what he's showing me. Okay. So essentially, this is like the next step with working with shielding energy or with sacred geometry when you're working with sacred geometry. And I want to clarify here that I'm talking specifically with our energy fields and sacred geometry and shapes, if I have not made that clear yet. Okay. So, they're showing me hexagrams now. That's interesting. So I'm being shown hexagrams also being a thing. I'm seeing Merkabahs, working with Merkabah energy. I'm also being reminded of 12D shielding. Look that up. That might be something that resonates with you. Working with this sacred geometry and specifically certain color rays. I'm seeing the platinum ray, and I'm also seeing, this is very much connected to Commander Ashtar, I'm also seeing rainbow energy as well, prismatic light, and golden energy, rose gold as well. These are all very excellent color rays to work with, to experiment with when it comes to essentially conducting your energy accordingly, preserving your energy when you need to preserve energy. I'm seeing now like a mirror, working with metallics, okay? Shielding in that way, reinforcing our energy fields with this sacred geometry, with a mirroring effect, okay, is another thing. I'm also getting a lot of violet energy with this as well. If you're familiar with Amanda Ellis's Isis Oracle deck, she's got a Pyramid of Light Oracle card in there and ritual, where she works very much with this sort of bright white diamond light energy and violet energy in this pyramid of light that essentially you surround yourself with, okay? Now, Lazar's coming back in to talk about this because Lazar has brought in before he's spoken about the golden alchemical energy, golden pyramids of light that we place over our energetic fields in all directions of time and space. I'm emphasizing that throughout all dimensions, okay? And also the violet ray. And this comes through like a very neon kind of violet energy. That's how I see it. It's very potent, is what he's showing me. He's showing me also that there is a almost like a divine matrix. I'm seeing hexagonal energy, like I'm seeing honeycombs, like bees. That might be significant as well for some of us. There's a lot of symbolism in the bee, especially connected to early Christianity and the high vibrational qualities, the frequency energy of bees. But this is also kind of and the sound that bees make. Okay, that's something else that you can look up to look in terms of sound frequency and energy and what that does to reset our energy fields, is how they're showing it to me. But they're showing this to me like a matrix. So I'm seeing like a honeycomb matrix. The Venusians are also really connected to this 6 and honeycomb energy, and the bees essentially, and early Christianity and Christ. And they're reminding me to get to the next part of the message here, which I will do in a second, but they really want to bring this through first. So what they're inviting each and every one of us to do is, right now, at this moment, to place wherever you are a pyramid of light around you for your highest and greatest good and in your highest and greatest truth, enforcing with this pyramid that you are sovereign free, you are God's source, you are connected constantly to source, reaffirming that you come from that place in alignment with unity consciousness, and the unity principle is what I'm hearing Commander Ashtar say. He's also bringing in a lot of cobalt blue energy as well with that. I'm feeling the energy of Commander. I always do this. Sometimes Commander Ashtar and Archangel Michael feel exactly the same to me. So for some of us, working with the energy of I went to say it again, Commander Ashtar. I wanted to say Archangel Michael. I'm getting Archangel Metatron coming through with that as well. Okay. Their energies are so similar. Archangel Metatron is bringing in a violet ray. I'm getting a lot of purple energy with him as well, and diamond white light too. Oh, he's bringing in the Merkabah now. Okay, so this is another energy that you could work with, whether it is a pyramid or a Merkabah. And I'm seeing so much platinum, kind of silver chrome light with prismatic light as well. So inviting each and every one of us to simply affirm with this sacred geometry that we are sovereign and free. And with that, our will, they're saying willing, we will ourselves wherever we will ourselves. Affirming your will in this moment is what I'm hearing with that. They want me to pop a card right away now from the Mystical Wisdom. This is the only deck that they showed me, and they keep on showing me the Peacock. And I keep on seeing with that the 9 of Pentacles, the Peacock energy and the 9 of Pentacles, and now I'm hearing Griffin, and I'm hearing Gryffindor. What? Okay, so I'm seeing like a winged lion essentially with that. These are the Lyran energies as well, confirming themselves once again. There's something in this idea of sovereignty in our DNA, is what the Lyrans are saying. This is also a confirmation for some of you, for that to be coming in like that, seemingly random, never random, right? So whether you resonate, wow, okay, so thank you. Whether you resonate with being a Lyran starseed or have a strong connection to the Lyrans, I'm also hearing Arcturians with that. These are ancient star families that we are all connected to, one way or another is what they're saying to me. You're looking at the feline energy, the avian energy, and the dragon energy connected to Lyra. the cradle. I'm hearing the cradle of civilization. And they're laughing because they're like, okay. Because you know how we refer to Greece as being the cradle of Western civilization? And they're like, no, Lenny. Well, they're just saying like the cradle of civilization is Lyra. Okay, so on that note, they want me to... It's hilarious. They want me to pop open. Okay, interesting. As I break open the deck, I don't think I've ever gotten this card working with this deck. We get the legends here. I get it, is what I'm saying. Yep. And they're specifically showing me... I'm hearing the origin of life on Earth with that. And another way that we often will hear that referred to is the seeding, but they're saying it's not exactly, for some of us, we need to hear that it's not exactly how we may have read it is. We're only getting part of the story. Everyone is also interpreting a part of the puzzle, a piece of the puzzle, a piece of the story, going back to what they said, a piece of the puzzle. Okay? So they're showing me here, first of all, this has a lot of elemental energy in it, a lot, but they're really pointing me to this. They're showing me this like a tadpole. It says at the bottom, learn from those who inspire you. But what I'm hearing them say is learn from those who came before you. But at the same time, they're also saying we're understanding it as before us here on Earth in terms of linear time, but this is happening simultaneously with us. Going back to this idea of time being illusion, there's a lot of nature spirits in this. They're pointing me to the dragonflies here, right here. Okay. This was a synchronicity that came through something else I came across recently, where there was like a dragonfly spirit animal. It could have been another reader that I was watching or something, I don't know, where it was a card and I was being reminded about how dragonflies are connected to light and the energy of light because of how light reflects off of them. Okay, and now he's directing me, interesting, 7 heavenly virtues. I'm hearing laws of the universe with that. Keys to goodness, okay. And, you know, that's in contrast to this idea of the 7 deadly sins. Okay, one of the things that I'm going to go to now is they want me to go back to this word Columbia. So this is the second part of the message now, okay? So as I was setting up Sacred Space, good old, beautiful Kate Bush came through again. Because her work is art in prayer, like prayer, you know, I've always felt art is prayer. Her work is channeling work, okay? Some of the things that Kate Bush has written and what she's done. And you know, there are certain artists who are like this. And I'm differentiating here, but even, funny enough, even in entertainment, but be careful there, because there is very deliberate entertainment that is, for lack of a better way of putting it, brainwashing and programming. And I'm hearing whatever stirs your soul in a way that feels like when you get goosebumps with something, or when you feel like it resonates, or like you're being seen. That artist is channeling something very specific for you, okay? So I'm just going to go to the song that was coming through. So it was Kate Bush's Hello Earth. At the beginning of that song, I'm going to link this song in the description box, because there's a lot even in the lyrics, but we're not going to get through all of them there. They're simply directing me to the first part of this song, which is a composite of samples of communication between the Space Shuttle Columbia on the maiden mission STS-1 in April 1981. And it starts with, you hear a man saying, and I don't know who this is, if this is an astronaut, I don't know. He's saying just, it's irrelevant, it's the lyrics that he wants to point out here. He's saying, Columbia, now, 9 times the speed of sound. Roger that, Dan. I've got a solid, I don't know if they say Takan here, Takan locked Atacan 23. There's something with the numbers here. That's why he wants me to read this. The tracking data, map data, and pre-planned trajectory are all one line on the block. And he's really pointing out one line on the block because this is somehow connected to timelines. And the other thing that's interesting here is he's bringing up synchronicities for me here simply in the dates around this space shuttle Columbia and the fact that this was a maiden mission. The number 14 is really significant here. I'm getting a lot of Temperance card energy, and I'm going to read to you sort of a little blurb here that came up around what this exactly was. The space shuttle Columbia. I'm reading here off of some Wikipedia, just so you know the sources here, astronomy.com, okay, NASA as well, .gov, Outprint, is that right? Outpint, sorry, .com. Okay, so just a little synopsis here. The Space Shuttle Columbia's maiden mission, STS-1, took place in April 1981, marking the beginning of the Space Shuttle program. This historic flight was launched on April 12th in 1981 from Kennedy Space Center's launch pad 39A, carrying astronauts John W. Young as commander and Robert L. Crippen as pilot. The mission lasted 54.5 hours, during which Columbia orbited Earth 37 times. I'm hearing with that more than that. Before landing on April 14th, 1981 at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Okay. For now, he's saying take whatever is pinging for you there. But specifically what he wants for me to focus on is is April 14th. The number 14, the Temperance card in Tarot. How that reduces to a 5, which is the energy of Mercury. We are currently in a Mercury retrograde. So there's something about revisiting the past here that's significant. This is another thing that's synchronistic. I've been coming across this energetically, and other things I've been seeing online with certain readers talking about this. So there's a ping and a confirmation there. This idea of having to go back to check something to move forward again. Okay. Also, okay, so he wants me to move over to the name Columbia. What's really interesting is when you look up the meaning of the name Columbia, all of it connects to Christopher Columbus. And what he's pointing out here is there's a kind of twofold thing going on here. Christopher Columbus thought that he landed in India, and that was a mistake. Careful here now, is what he's showing me, because it was the interpretation, again, of something. Because he's going, where exactly was India anyway at the time? Okay, and now this is somehow connected to Lemuria. Okay, there is this, obviously we know, for those of us, right, who know and who've looked into this sort of thing, that there is a connection between Lemuria and India and in the Indian Ocean, but other people have also put Lemuria in the Pacific, right? Where is Lemuria? Where is Atlantis? And he's showing me the idea of the realms and how when you're working in terms of energy and the etheric, it can be in multiple areas at the same time. This goes back to timeline and time being an illusion. Interesting. So the whole idea of, it's so crazy because anytime you look up the meaning of the name Columbia, you get that it's derived from Christopher Columbus because of his name and because of his discoveries. Okay. And he's saying again, discoveries, they were always there. They were always there, right? This is crazy. Okay. It's getting very, very, I don't want to get too, again, crazy off in a different direction here and nebulous, but take whatever is coming through for you with that. There's a lot of activating information in that, okay? This concept of, he's showing me like me back in philosophy school, you know, in university, where they're like, you know, it's like if a tree falls in a forest and you don't hear it, did it actually happen? Does it actually exist? Or was it never there to begin with? How do we know when something actually really truly happens? What he's saying to me right now, the key is energy. You know it through energy. And through these activations and this evolution that we're all going through, those of us who are especially open to it, who signed up for it in essence, you're going to know if it's true and it actually is happening energetically through your energy field. This is why they're going back to this whole overwhelm thing from the beginning. But they're directing me back to the cards now. Learn from those who inspire you is essentially learning from the ones that came before. And I know you know what I mean by that, because if I start going off on a tangent with that, like, okay, so the name, Columbia. When you get past all this Columbus stuff, and what's interesting, actually, no, okay, I'm going ahead of myself here. The name here has a connection to the Latin word columba, meaning dove, which symbolizes peace and harmony. The dove. The Holy Spirit, right, is another way that the dove is interpreted. Very connected to the Venusians and very connected to the energy of Christ, okay? Christopher Columbus. Christophoros. Christo, Christ, the anointed one or anointed. Phoros, carrier or bearer of Christ. And the dove. So that's the meaning here. And he's going back to this idea of commander. You being the commander. This is what this means. And I'm hearing the Greek word gryphos, like a, what's that in English again? A riddle. Like a riddle. Okay, so Christopher Columbus is the Christ bringer dove or carrier, okay? And it's interesting that doves and pigeons and carrier pigeons and this whole idea of birds, these are the winged beings that carry the messages, that carry the activations, that carry. And now they're directing me back to these heavenly virtues, the 7 heavenly virtues. And I'm hearing carry the stars. And they're showing me this and how she is a beautiful, what looks like fairy butterfly being. Okay. Why do I feel like are we ending there? I'm hearing with that empath codes. Okay, so we're gonna pop just, oh wow. Also never had this pop out of the deck, and it just popped out as I picked this up. Potential. Think big for your future. Okay, this is coming off of the previous message of not getting carried away with Asha coming through. And the energy of Ashe, commanding, affirming, commanding something with your energy. And I'm hearing winged ones. And they're showing me this angelic figure. And now I'm getting dragon energy coming through again with these like winged beings. Any winged being, including the griffin, including, I'm hearing winged serpent, okay? How all of these beings throughout so many different cultures, through the ones that came before us, were always referring to these winged beings, okay? And how there are winged beings and how there are souls here on earth, okay? Who essentially are winged beings. They're showing me the prismatic light. I'm getting the energy of Archangel Raphael as well coming through with that. Healers. Alchemy is what I'm getting with that as well. Okay, on that note, they want me to read from the book for potential. They want Yep. Okay. So, Battle of the Blues at the bottom of the deck. Take steps toward positive change. This is Lady in the Lake energy. Okay, and that's interesting that legends came out again with that. So something about the Arthurian legends. King Arthur. This is significant. It's very connected to this. Okay, they want me to read for the book for all three of them, and I'm going to close out the reading there. Okay. And I cannot remember which night it was. Was it Galahad? I don't know why Galahad. I'm hearing Lancelot and Galahad. Okay, and I might be wrong here, but there's some kind of connection here to the story with the Lady in the Lake. I do not remember the myth specifically, but I'm just getting a lot of energy here coming through with the Lady of the Lake connected to sort of sorrow and like she's very Queen of Swords energy. Even though she is also connected to this lake, right? There's because the lake is, again, they're showing me the symbolism of lake and water being our subconscious, our psyche, the emotional body, the nebulous things, the things that are cyclical, the things that we sense and feel that we cannot necessarily articulate through words alone. It's a frequency, it's an energy, it's a feeling, okay? She's coming in for support here. This feels very much like if you work with these energies, if you work with Merlin, if you work with energies around King Arthur, okay? The magic of King Arthur, the magic of Merlin, the magic of the Lady of the Lake. Didn't the Lady of the Lake actually teach Merlin? Why am I feeling that? I'm feeling like she's the one that taught him. She's like the power behind him, in a way. Don't get me wrong, Merlin is like he's his own power and energy in and of himself. Thank you. But there's this energy of who, again, the ones that came before. Who was the teacher? The one that helped to create the environment, very much like a healer creates an environment for you to heal in. And then this goes back to this energy of how we're all connected, how we're all supporting each other, how sharing is caring. It goes right back to that. Right back to that. And there is also an agenda. I'm hearing by the powers that were, you know. We all know, don't we? So there's an agenda to keep us isolated. There's an agenda to keep us separated. There's an agenda. Generation, is that what wants to come through here? Yeah. Want to generate a frequency of separation and isolation in the very negative way. And to counteract that, in a sense, we generate another energy. We generate, and in the end, we don't really give a fuck about the other energy, you see, because it's sort of like, you know, it's there. You're not like oblivious to it. You understand it's there, but you're not giving energy away to it. And I'm also getting this sort of energy of like, no, thank you. Thank you. That's great. Now you're just reminding me even more of how I step into my power. Thank you. Now you're reminding me even more about my own sovereignty. Thank you. For you to be having a fucking bitch fest over there, or a freak out, or pulling, you know, trying to like now, like going to these lengths now to try and, I'm hearing, put the fear of God into me. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of how powerful I am. Thank you for reminding me of how powerful we are. Working with the energy of legends will unlock your potential, in a sense. Interesting. There's something in myth that essentially isn't myth. There's something in, I'm getting the work of Clarissa Pinkola Estes and that Women Who Run with the Wolves. So this is a really great way to sort of get into understanding the power of fairy tales. And of course, the Fae realm coming in for that to be like, they ain't fairy at all. Like they're very, very significant in terms of understanding our story, the human story, the experience of being a soul here on Earth, the experience of being a soul in a human body. It's in the legends and the stories that we begin to understand that much more deeply, and they become teachers to us and for us. Okay. I'm going to close out by reading the cards from each, reading the messages for each of these cards, okay? Starting with potential. Think big for your future. I'm going to hold the card up as I read here. Your creative and mental powers carry great potential. Your plans to expand your horizons are underway and everything is progressing steadily. Commander Ashtar is also adding here, believe in this and it will come to fruition. Think and plan outside your limitations and remain open-minded as there are more possibilities and opportunities than you can see at this point. This goes back to the timeline thing. This could be a study, a business venture, or travel. Be ready to take on the challenges with the think big attitude. And this goes back to in the previous message about not playing small anymore, right? Empower yourself with more development and self-exploration. The self-exploration also coming through with this legends, okay? Mantra. My visions and goals take me beyond my current limitations. The number 48 may be significant here as well as another confirmation. 48 reduces to a 12. That is the energy of the Hanged Man, of seeing things from a different perspective, okay? It's on page 48 in the book. Okay. Legends. Learn from those who inspire you. Even stories, right? Even myths, stories are inspiring, right? Okay. You have the opportunity to rise to great heights. Listen, learn, and gain insights from those whose path you wish to follow. Gather information and do some research into your legend. Learn what is best for you right now to follow your dreams. Folk tales, and that is very connected to the work of Clarissa Pinkola Estes as well, specifically folk tales, okay? Describe how the main personality in a legend copes with the events of everyday life. Deep within the tales is a lesson to pass on to you. The story may be of miracles, spiritual courage, or even fairy tales. True legends, such as Joan of Arc or Nelson Mandela. Isn't that interesting that Nelson Mandela, connected to the whole Mandela effect, would be one of those specific things that were given as an example here? Okay, there's something in that. Joan of Arc as well, because I'm also getting with her that the whole story with her was never really truly told either, and her connection too, and maybe something with this Arthurian legend and Joan of Arc, something's connected there. Courageously took on battles to overcome obstacles and persevered to meet triumph and victory. Mantra. I gather inspiration, strength, and insight from true legends. True legends. Not the false ones. Okay? For some of us, that's a specific thing coming through right now. So, one of the things that I'd come across recently, and I do not remember this lady's name. Oh, man. Anyway, she talked about asking. She works a lot with people in like, I don't even know. I can't even. Anyway, ask yourself, this is something that she had put up. There was some clip of her talking about this. Ask yourself if, like, in terms of a book, a story, a movie, which character are you? Which character do you resonate with the most? And then start exploring that if you haven't done already. Because a lot of us have kind of already started doing that, right? But there's something in that. There's something activating and unlocking in that. Okay. Battle of the Blues. This is the last one I'm going to read here. Battle of the Blues. Leadership just popped out as well. Leo season. The new moon in Leo. This is also connected to the Lion's Gate and also around the 8-8 linear time energy portal for some, okay? Something about this time period being really significant in that, okay? Working with the energy of the sun, sunflower is the symbolism of Leo, okay? Leadership, set your goals, having a vision, okay? All significant. That wants to come out as a supportive message as well. And it's interesting because I'm being shown this Lady of the Lake morphing into this woman, which feels very Queen of Wands to me. I'm getting like a fiery heart there. I'm getting like a mix of Queen of Wands and like Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene. A lot of those energies really strong right now. Very palpable. Okay. Battle of the Blues. And see this knight up here in the corner? They really want me to point that out because it might be hard for you to see that on screen. Okay. When you have sad feelings of gloom and inadequacy, you need to recognize this is a temporary situation in the grander scheme of things, is what I'm hearing Commander Ashtar say here. Feelings of sadness and negative thoughts can immobilize you, and only you can change this. Perhaps it is a wake-up call to get into action and make changes, the changes that you've been meaning to make for a while, I'm hearing him also say. Take small steps and keep moving every day to bring positive change and self-empowerment. Exercise, study, socialize with like-minded people, listen to music, Kate Bush, put that song on, right? And talk about your feelings with trusted friends and family. Know that the magic of the universe and the angels are there to support and guide you. Gather your courage and rise to meet your challenges. And I'm hearing him say how many of us are angels, many of us are that frequency and that energy, and finding that support in ourselves and finding that support that we're in. It's really beautiful. Okay? So beautiful. Mantra: I take small steps every day to make positive changes in my life for happiness and fulfillment. The number 14 coming out here again because this is on page 14 of the book. And let me just quickly go to Legends and Leadership again and find the numbers there because they're saying it's significant. 38 for Legends and 37 for leadership. 37, 38. So that's a beautiful thing to see because that's progress, making some kind of progress. 10, 11, and 12 also being significant there with the 48 coming out earlier too. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you, Commander Ashtar. Thank you, Lazar. Thank you, Ashe, Asha. Thank you to the Arcturian energies, the Venusian energies. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you, Archangel Metatron. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you to all of the energies that each and every one of us work with in support of our highest and greatest good and our highest and greatest truth in love and liberation. Always, I am sending you so much love wherever you are here on beautiful Mama Gaia. Please leave a comment below, share your insights here. Like I said, I will be getting to the comments soon on that last video. Thank you so much for your courage, your willingness to play big wherever you are in your life at this moment. I'm sending you so much love here on beautiful Mama Gaia, in love and liberation always. And a reminder, because I keep on forgetting to do this, I am offering one-on-one sessions. All that information you can get via email in the email in the description box below. I will also link Kate Bush's Hello Earth video here as well. Thank you. Sending you so much love wherever you are, in love and liberation always.